A fourth man has on Friday the 13th of February been jailed for the murder of Rikki Berry in Kirby in 2024 after he was caught on his own doorbell footage discussing the killing. Just after 6:30 p.m. on the 17th of July, emergency services were called to a report that a man had been shot outside of Quarryside Drive in Kirby. Paramedics treated him at the scene, but sadly he died a short time later. Rikki, nicknamed Nuggy, was 36 years old at the time of his murder. Detectives conducted extensive inquiries, resulting in 3 men being sentenced to life in prison for his murder on the 18th of February 2025. Adam Williams, 26, of Hamlet Crescent, St Helens, will serve a minimum of 31 years in prison. Michael Smith, 27, of No Fixed Address, Kirby, will serve a minimum of 31 years in prison. Connor Walsh, 26, of Simon Woods Lane, Northwood, Kirby, will serve a minimum of 30 years in prison. In July 2025, exactly 12 months after the murder, 25-year-old Ryan Walsh Westhead was also arrested and charged in connection with the killing. Walsh Westhead of Farrier Road, Kirby, was found guilty of murder and possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life, enable another to do so, and was sentenced to serve life in prison to serve a minimum of 28 years. He was found to have been a passenger in a black Seat Ateca Cupra that left the scene of the shooting with his uncle Connor Walsh and Williams. The car was in tandem with an electric bike ridden by Smith, who pulled the trigger outside of Rikki Berry's house. Walsh Westhead was captured on his own doorbell footage returning to his home, with Walsh talking about the murder just a minute after. When officers searched the house the following day, the Ring doorbell itself had been removed, but detectives were able to retrieve the footage from Walsh's Westhead's mother's phone. Detective Inspector Graham Osborne said, "Our thoughts remain first and foremost with Rikki's family, who have faced 18 months of grief and anguish because of the actions of these 4 men." The sentencing of Walsh Westhead means all 4 of their men present at the time of Rikki's murder are now behind bars, and I hope that gives his family some sense of justice. He said, "Firearms bring nothing but misery and fear, and we simply will not tolerate criminals bringing gun crime to our streets. We will do everything in our power to ensure anyone responsible is put before the courts." He said, "My message to those involved in gun crime is clear. Merseyside Police will pursue you relentlessly. We will work to continue to conduct stop checks of people and vehicles, carry out warrants at your homes, and undertake land searches where we suspect you are storing your weapons." Detective Chief Inspector Osborne added, "I know our communities who feel the impact of tragedies such as this support our efforts, and they can play a vital role in themselves." Here's some more news from West Midlands Police. 4 men have been jailed for chasing down a man in the street and shooting him in the back. Their 45-year-old victim needed hospital treatment but survived the attack, which took place in Wolverhampton in September 2024. The 4 defendants, Richard Beckles, 44, from Telford, Cleon Johnson, 39, from Walsall, Constantine Campbell, 52, from Tipton, and Kyle Gale, 31, from Birmingham, were all convicted of attempted murder and possessing a firearm with intent to endanger life. Beckles, Johnston, and Gale were all sentenced at Wolverhampton Crown Court on Thursday to 30 years in prison, and Campbell to 27 years. West Midlands Police said at about 11 p.m. on the 18th of September 2024, the victim's car had its tyres slashed outside a pub on Harp Street. As he left the pub, he was then chased by a group of men who shot him in Minerva Street. The men then drove off in the black Mercedes, which had followed the chasing group. The police found two of the men had travelled over from Birmingham and met up with the other two at an industrial estate in Bilston before carrying out the attack. The four were linked to each other using phone evidence, which found numerous calls were made between them. Detective Inspector Francis Knox said although their intended target survived this attack, shots being fired at someone in the street is terrifying prospect for most people, and we will not tolerate this in our cities or towns. He said the men tried to cover their tracks by using a number of vehicles and pick-up points, but the police were able to link their activity. A fifth man, Michael Solodoulou, was found not guilty of the charges. Here's some more news from the West Midlands Police. 3 men have been jailed for their roles in dozens of car key burglaries across Birmingham. Callum James, Jack Bardini and Douche Luton Howe were all sentenced on Thursday, the 12th of February at Birmingham Crown Court for a total of over 100 offences linked to car key burglaries. A lengthy and thorough investigation found that the trio meticulously worked together to carry out the burglaries across Birmingham between August 2024 and April 2025. James and Bardini would target properties to gain entry by lock snapping, stealing car keys, and subsequently taking the cars. They specifically targeted cars of high value, with an estimated valuation of their crime spree totaling almost $2 million. Investigators found that after stealing the cars, they would then apply fraudulent number plates to stolen vehicles in order to avoid detection. The group would then pose for photos with the stolen vehicles and also filmed footage when driving erratically in the stolen cars. A key part of the investigation found that James wore distinctive jackets when committing the burglaries, and this proved pivotal in piecing the evidence together. He was also found to have worn 1 hour prior to his arrest. Following the investigation, all 3 were arrested between April and June last year and were subsequently charged. James pleaded guilty to 75 offences of conspiracy to commit burglary, conspiracy to steal a motor vehicle, and conspiracy to conceal criminal property, while Bardini pleaded guilty to 31 offences of conspiracy to commit burglary, conspiracy to steal a motor vehicle, and conspiracy to conceal criminal property. Luton Howe pleaded guilty to possession and control of articles for use in fraud and making and supplying articles for fraud. These offences were in relation to the making of number of plates that were applied to stolen vehicles. James, 24 of Quinton Road West, was jailed for 9 years. Bardini, 18 of Kelfield Avenue, was jailed for 6 years and 9 months. Luton Howe, 25 of Clunbury Road, was jailed for 2 years and 3 months. PC Adam McWalter from our Serious Organised Crime team said the trio were meticulous in their individual roles in the crime spree. They carried out dozens of offences over an 8-month period, and so the investigation was lengthy, piecing together every piece of evidence. The footage was vital to the investigation and secured the charges and eventually guilty pleas. Thankfully, these 3 prolific offenders will now be spending a long time behind bars. Please like this video, please comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.